In this video, we're going to be looking at what's important when thinking about presenting your research. So, firstly, it's probably good to work out when you might need to present the outcomes of your research. So, always when you're thinking about things along these lines, we're going to be thinking about the audience first. So who needs to see the outcomes of your research, of that information that you've been gathering? Often it might be the heads of department at your organisation. Sometimes it might be shareholders or funders, so people who are putting up the money for the things that you're doing. And we should also probably consider the times when it would be other stakeholders. So that might be members of your audience, it might be people in the community that your organisation works within, and it might also be members of the general public. So for each of these types of presentation, of ways of presenting your research, you may think about different ways to do it, the best mode for any of these situations. We'd also need to look at why it's important to present research. So again, thinking about your audience, what does your audience need to know? Well, one of the things that your research presentation or your report should be is a set of condensed information. So you've gone out there and done all of the legwork, done the looking around, and you're bringing this information back to other people who have had less time to do that. You're also going to need to present a clear overview and your findings from the research that you've been doing. Think about how you can bring forward all of the facts that you've been collecting and the accuracy and the sources that you've been using. Your presenting of a research project or a research document means that you're saving other people time, energy and effort. And this is a really important reason to present the outcome of your research. You're also going to be thinking about what elements of your research could be applied in different situations and why that might be. So all of these things will go into informing why actually you're presenting research in the first place. When we're talking about that idea of facts and accuracy, it's probably also worth spending a little bit of time thinking about why it's important that your research is rigorous. So again, thinking about your audience, your report is going to go on to inform decision making in your organisation. So depending on its findings, depending on the things that you suggest in your research, it might be quoted by others, it might go to inform new policy or new activities, and also it'll probably go into different programming decisions that are made. So working in an arts organisation, the type of research that you're undertaking is going to be taken on and used by other people to inform all of these things. Also, it may go into funding decisions. So they might be decisions that are made by your organisation, or it might be decisions of outside funders or sponsors to actually get on board and fund a project that you're suggesting. One of the biggest questions that we get when we're thinking about presenting research is what is the best way to do this? So again, with your audience in mind, think about what the most practical way for your audience to receive your report might be. So some quite standard methods will be things like a printed document, so a printed report, maybe a face-to-face presentation with slides, using graphs and infographics to show a different statistical information could be a way to do it. And also you might have elements of your report, or your whole report might go into making up a table of information or data. Again, when we're thinking about this idea of practicality, think about presenting your research in a form that's easy to share. So if it's something that needs to go be disseminated around your organisation or also into the wider public, think about those formats that might be easy to share. So it might be something like a video or a kind of PDF document that could be attached to emails or published online. On the converse side of that, you may also want to be presenting your research in a way that's easy to keep it confidential. So sometimes you might be undertaking research, maybe that's got a kind of business competitive edge to it, or maybe also you're dealing with sensitive information in different ways. So in that case, you want something that's harder to copy, harder to disseminate, so that it's more likely to be kept confidential and within your organisation. Think about the ways also that people will engage with your research. So in the face-to-face presentation example, it might be that you have 15 minutes and you need to get all of the messages across in that time. So some of the things you'll want people to take away with them, you might provide like a printout, kind of handout sheet that goes with your presentation, or you might make it so that you can actually give people the presentation slides or other information that's attached. You also want to be thinking about the venue, the time that you've got, and the reference material that people might need or that they might find useful after the presentation itself. When you're thinking about the best way to present your research, you also want to think about what information you need to actually present. So this might include things like numbers or comparative data. So it might be percentages, it might be audience figures. There are lots of different times when numbers might be the thing that you need to present. You also might want to present some narrative snippets. So these might be descriptions, it might be feedback from audience members or different stakeholders in a project. You might want to be presenting case studies. So if you've been doing a survey or a review of what existing provision there is in a certain area, or what kind of organisations have tried out projects like this before, then case studies might be the most appropriate manner to present that information. Also, you might have elements that are visual or photographic or video. So thinking about the information that you need to present is going to also help you develop how you undertake your research itself. Above all, when you're thinking about presentation and presentation of research, your audience is really the key factor in this. So take steps to make sure that whatever form your report takes, that your report is interesting, that it holds people's attention, that it's understandable, that you're using language and you're using modes of communicating that people can understand quite easily and readily, that it's convincing, that you're making a good argument, that you've backed that up with facts. It's not so much about opinion, but more about things that can be quantified in some way or can be backed up with the writing or experience of others. Very last on this list is the idea of your research being timely. Now this is really important. So thinking about your topic and the information that you've been gathering, it's quite likely that within 5 years that might be out of date. So it may not apply because lots of things have changed and moved on. So it's important when you're presenting your research and your reports that you're thinking about the timeliness of what you're researching and how it fits into this contemporary moment right now.